Okay, hi everyone. Finally got around to creating this video. A lot of people have been asking me to do a battle mech breakdown on this mecha that was seen in the background of one of my prior videos, and I decided to finally get off my ass, finish painting him, and create this breakdown. So what you'll see is I'll go through the components I use to put this one together, and then I'll go through the steps through which you need to take to get this result. In the meantime, if you like, please consider liking and subscribing to this channel. I don't just do mecha and plastic model kits, I also do Warhammer miniatures. So please have a look at some of my other videos. Now I'm going to break it down. Okay, so before we begin, I'm going to walk through the kits that you're going to need to build this project. First of all, you're going to need one set of the Portanova space type, one set. You're going to need one set of the Alto flight type. You're going to need one set of the 30-minute missions option parts 2, and you're going to need one set of the 30-minute missions option backpack 1. And you're only going to need a few pieces from each, so you're going to have a lot left over, enough to probably build another project in itself. But without further ado, I'd like to walk through what we're going to build. Now, the first thing you want to look at is the center torso. This is going to be the section that you're going to be building out of. And what you find here is that I've attached the Portanova space type backpack to the Alto torso. I've taken the Roy from the Alto and put it on top in place of the head. This is a very common mod, and I've just made it point backwards instead of forwards. There is a set here from a more recent option set. This is totally optional, but I thought it made a very nice antenna. Now all these hardpoints are covered with various bits that I had lying around, and it's not a necessity. You don't actually need to cover up all these 3mm ports, but it's something I decided to do because it looks better. Now what you see on the front of the torso, you can see I've removed the front armor centerpiece, and I've replaced it with this section here, which actually extends that 30mm port, 3mm port out somewhat. That is actually made up of one of the thruster units from the option backpack 1. I actually cut away this section and put it in there. You can see that that is the corresponding part. So I put that in, and then I got one of these extensions as well. This one is included in every accessory set, and I plugged it in the front. You can see that I've extended that 3mm port by quite an amount. Now that I've done that, I can actually attach this. Now this is the forearm of a Portanova, and the only reason I've used this forearm is so that I can attach the cockpit section. Now the forearm is attached to that using one of these adapters, and that looks like this. Now I want to make a distinction here as well, because it is very similar but different from this adapter. You can see some of the differences here. You'll want the one on the left. This is the one you want. This is not something you need. And when that is attached to the attachment at the arm where the elbow usually goes, you can then plug that in here, and now you have an extended section that you can plug in this. Now this is actually the knee pad from a Portanova, so you can take that knee pad and you can then plug that peg into this port here. And now you have your sort of torso and cockpit set. Again, there are 3mm ports on either side that you can then use adapters to attach optional weapons. I've attached some of the small machine guns. Now, one more thing you need to remember for the torso are these. Now these are my favorite things. These are ball sockets that convert into 3mm pegs. So if I can pull it out, oh, it's a little bit tight, but basically that is a ball joint that goes into the shoulder socket and turns into a 3mm peg. Now that's very important because what we're going to be attaching next are the shin units from an Alto. Now let's orientate ourselves here. The shin unit looks like that, and that attaches to the foot. So you want that with this little bar to be on the front and bottom of the torso, like that. Attach the other one in the corresponding side, and you have the entire upper torso complete. So now let's break down the legs. Now the leg, you can see, is a little bit more complex. It's a little bit less flexible, a little bit less articulate than the last battle mech, and I had to make a little bit of compromises, but I'm going to show you what I've done. So taking it apart, you'll see that I have the thigh section from a Alto. This thigh section also has a plug here, and this actually attaches to the new hip section. This used to be female, used to be a 3mm socket. I cut a small section of the adapters that you get in your option parts, put that in and turned it into a male 3mm socket. Attached to that, you'll see one of these. So here's another adapter you get from your option parts, and that's going to attach to that instead of the usual knee hinge that comes with a lot of these sets. The part that attaches to that after that is this. This is actually the shin of an Alto. So instead of using it as a shin, I'm using it as a middle section for sort of a chicken leg. This has to be quite clearly defined. The hinge on top needs to be oriented this way. If that is the front of your mech, it needs to be oriented like this, with this connection closer to that side than the back. That is your hip. That attaches like this, and this is going to give you that fair amount of articulation here. Like that. And then we get the shin of an Portanova space type, and that's going to be attached in this orientation, this way, with the hydraulic pistons facing the front. Right? And now the foot section. Now the foot, you can see here, this is actually the shoulder pad of an Alto. I've pulled out the connector, and in the foot I've added one of these extensions to make it longer, attach the shoulder there, and then attach the foot. Now you can see here, now this is not necessary, but I've used this foot from the Alto ground type for stability. You can actually use the standard Alto foot or Portanova foot for this, but I decided to upgrade to that for more stability. Any foot from any set will fit here, and although I do recommend this one because it's big and chunky and it gives a very low center of gravity. So there's one leg. You'll do the same with the corresponding side, and now you have two legs. Now we'll talk about the lower torso. The hip section, you can see this is just the hips of an Alto. I've attached this is why you need the flight type though. I've attached the shins of the flight type to the hips there. And again, you need to be sure of the orientation where these wings, these fin sections, face backwards. And what we've done is we've done that to extend the width of the hips so that our legs can attach on either side like so. And then with the front, this is actually one of the knee pads from a Portanova space as well. This one goes on the front, but you will need one of these adapters, and it looks like this, converting the 3mm port into a rectangular peg. that's going to be perfect for this. Now with these two halves set up, all you have to do is put them together like so, and you have your battle mech. I really like this one in the sense that you can actually sort of puppeteer it somewhat. It does have a lot of character because you've got sort of a lot of articulation in the head unit, and it's got these wide shoulders that you can move around, and then you can sort of attach weapons to it like so. Now the great thing about the Portanova space type backpack is that it's also got a lot of hard points. So what I can do is I can remove these wider shoulders, right, and I can put the rocket launchers here as well, and this gives it a very nice profile too, a little bit more set backward, almost like an artillery piece, right? And even without them, you got a very sleek profile, almost like a Raven battle mech. You've got even your active probe, fire control and everything. So that's a very nice design. I kind of like this design more than the last one, in the sense that it's sort of got this scout mech kind of feel. Not so much heavy weapons, but more of a agile, nimble, sneak around kind of mech. And I'm pretty happy with it. Again, if I remove these, you can see that there are actually hard points there as well. So I'm pretty happy with this. This is pretty nice, and I hope you enjoyed this video. This channel is completely funded and sponsored by my own website, my own products, and I encourage you to visit my website, linked at the bottom and on the screen, and have a look around, share it with your friends. I try my best not to have any sponsors on this channel, and I'm completely financed by my hobby alone. So I hope you can consider that and spread the word. Thank you so much for joining me, and if you'd like to see more of this, please let me know what kind of projects you want to see in the future, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye bye.